Who is watching the Watchers? Who are watching those who are watching the Watchmen? Let's find out. VJ here. A few days ago, I watched the conclusion of the HBO TV series, The Watchmen. Now, this is not going to be a review of that series, but rather a discussion about the discussion around the show. So, having said that, before we get into this, I will confess to being a fan of the original comic series created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Watchmen actually got me back into comics and graphic novels, which I had abandoned for about 20 years. I'm also a fan of the Zack Snyder movie. It still remains one of my favorite superhero movies. Although a fan of the book, I'm not a fanboy, a distinction I'll get to shortly, so I was okay with the changes and decisions made adapting the comic into a movie. So, naturally, I was looking forward to this new Watchmen series. And by new, I mean new material. This is a sequel, not a remake. So I moderated expectations and tried to watch with an open mind. And this is part of what I want to discuss here. Expectations. Fanboys are different from fans. Fans like something. Fanboys love something. They desire it. They need it. They want to be it. They wear costumes and line up at conventions and say their wedding vows in whatever language their favorite characters spew. Fanboys are intense, and they brook no fiddling with their fantasy world of choice, even when adapting from one medium to the other. So yeah, some people were instantly not cool with this new version of Watchmen. The first couple of episodes caused people to lose their minds. It was a bold move for Watchmen to launch an episode with very few references to the original Watchmen universe. That universe is of the alternate variety, as in alternate history. So why not open this series with the slaughter of black people in 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma? Which, by the way, was inspired by an actual event. It almost struck me as a deconstruction of the Watchmen. But was it? In a universe where Robert Redford is the president, and the world was saved from destruction by a member of the Watchmen, dropping a massive squid on New York City, this did not seem so crazy. But that opening triggered a lot of people. Well, hell, don't we live in a time where people are triggered by the word trigger? If that sentence just triggered you, it may be time for your nap. Some fanboys were upset that they seemed to be watching an historical reenactment rather than a superhero show. But the scene is actually the origin story of a masked hero, but it takes time to get there. As the series goes on, racial tension becomes an overarching theme. Fanboys did not like this. The first hero we meet in this series is Sister Night, whose secret identity is Angela, a cop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sister Night wears a mask, but all the cops wear masks, as a result of attacks by an organization called the 7th Cavalry. These guys wear Rorschach masks, a character from the original Watchmen, and they are the bad guys. They are white supremacists. It's hard to find pure evil nowadays. And the cavalry would seem to have no redeeming qualities. Right? More on that in a bit. Back to fanboy whining. Whining because they weren't seeing enough Watchmen in Watchmen. We meet Sister Night. We meet another new character called Looking Glass, whose origin, by the way, involves the aforementioned squid bomb. There are hints and whispers about the Minutemen and Dr. Manhattan, but we are not seeing the Watchmen. The fanboys, whew, they are pissed. Slowly, more old characters are revealed, as are new ones. Subplots percolate to the surface, and the cavalry, the white supremacists, are clearly established as the villains of the piece. The fanboys are upset because they perceive changes to the canon, though I contend the canon of Watchmen was always political. Politicians using superheroes, and superheroes using politicians was a persistent subtext. Fanboys are fanboys, and God bless them. Often we need to thank them for keeping some of our favorite storylines alive. I certainly have endured my share of bad adaptations. Tim Burton, Miss Peregrine, are you looking at me? I may not share the fanboy mindset, their dogged devotion, but I can appreciate the passion. There are some responses to Watchmen, though, that I can't appreciate or understand. A lot of the vitriol aimed at Watchmen concerns the main villains of the story, those white supremacists. Yeah, people are really pissed that the racists are portrayed as, racists. There were actually people protesting that the show is anti-white, being unfair to white men. With all due respect, what the fuck? I am indeed a white guy. I am not a white supremacist. I think that those are very, very bad people. I do not think that they represent me because they are white. They are evil as shit. I mean, who can object to white supremacists as bad guys? The villains in Watchmen are not villains because they are white. They are villains because they are racist and kill black people simply because those people are black. Yeah, like I said, evil as shit. Does the show's script make an assumption that all white men are violently racist? No. It certainly implies that a lot of our institutions may be racist. And if you deny that last point, well, you got some thinking to do. A lot of commentators, be they fanboys or not, like to whine about shows going woke. God knows that happens. Not sure if that is what is happening here. Are they exploiting the Watchmen universe? Using it as a springboard for a woke agenda? I don't think so. Watchmen was never a property to shy away from controversy or drama. The characters of the comedian and Rorschach were not exactly Disney characters, were they? I was actually pretty impressed by how deep into Watchmen lore the series got, and lore from the comic book more than the movie. So, in that sense, it's a true sequel. Along with the new characters and the new storylines, old characters like Silk Spectre and Ozymandias and old story arcs were resolved. But the online reactors, they're out there. Look, there they are, just waiting to react, fingers twitching over keyboards. It's the marketing of agendas, and selling your agenda is not good enough. You have to discredit and destroy any agenda that may counter yours. Does the Watchmen have an agenda? It certainly has messages and meanings that it wants us to decode. The reactors are calling the show heavy-handed. They think it's more kick to the nads than whisper in the ear. It's one thing to say, I reject your message. It's another thing to imply you have no right to express that at all. Disagree with something all you want. Let's get into a discussion about art, and perhaps we can both learn something. But by objecting to the portrayal of evil racist fucks because it somehow diminishes your message, means that you have no clear idea how to communicate that message in the first place. And if you can't communicate, go watch The Watchmen, while the rest of us just shake our heads watching you.